In this unit, we're going to focus on getting a good understanding about our marketplace and the sectors in which we operate. Now, most of us have a pretty good knowledge about what's happening in the marketplace and our own sectors, because that's where we spend most of our time. We talk to customers and colleagues, we read the press, attend conferences, subscribe to e-newsletters, and so on. And I'm sure that if we were asked, then most of us could offer a pretty good general assessment of what's happening right now. I find that most key account managers tend to have a good general working knowledge and common understanding. So for example, we all know the market's tough. The new product's been launched, and maybe if a customer has announced an expansion and so on. So if that's the case, why then do we need to take time out now to assess the market? Well, there are two reasons. The first is that most of our market knowledge is general knowledge. It's not specifically, necessarily directed to any defined goal. It's the stuff we've picked up from general sources or almost at random. The second reason is that we don't necessarily think about the market in terms of key account growth. We don't always immediately connect our market knowledge with opportunities for growth. So this means that we need to seek out specific knowledge and consider how it may impact our growth. It's not so much general knowledge we need here, but rather specific knowledge, which will lead to impact on our business. And this is important because if you have this understanding before your competitors, and even more importantly, if you can use the knowledge before they do, then almost certainly you'll have a competitive advantage with your key accounts. Now, the market is vast, and so we need a method of getting to grips with it quickly. So let's look at a simple method for dividing the market knowledge into its core parts. We'll use a technique called pestle. This is a commonly used approach, and so any work you do along this method will almost certainly be in line with analysis done by colleagues in other parts of the business. It's also the approach recommended by most business schools, by the way. So how does it work? Well, it's very simple. We divide the market into a number of broad categories to help direct our thinking. The letters which make up the word pestle stand for political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. Now, depending on the business you're in, different categories will be more or less important. If you're in financial services, maybe, then legal changes could be important. If you're engaged in the energy industry, then political decisions are likely to be important. So we use these 6 categories to consider the possible changes in our market, which are likely to have an impact on our key account business. And again, we need to recognize that we're interested in growing our key account business. So changes which may be legitimate but have no impact are not interesting for us. And this is important because there's no value in creating a long list of possible changes. It won't have any meaning for you, and it really won't help you. So what we want are a few really important changes in each category which may have some direct bearing on your key account activity and growth. I think the best way to demonstrate this model is to show a simple worked example. Let's assume we work for a national airline. We'll use the pestle framework to consider possible changes in our market. Oh, by the way, this is an edited example from a company in a very specific situation. So if you are in the airline industry, then you do need to do your own assessment. Now, what we see here is the first draft from a team discussion to consider the issues and trends in their industry. I should tell you this, before the team session, each manager took time to prepare ideas for the meeting. When you look at their ideas, you may think of other issues or disagree with their ideas, but that's not really the point here. All I want to do is show you how we can use these 6 categories to help direct our thinking. So if we examine the example, you'll see that there are only a very few issues in each category. We just want the ones that could impact our business. For each category, you'll see just 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4 points. Some are obvious, but still worth including if they could result in action. And some issues are not immediately related to the industry. The growth of teleconferencing, demands from corporations to reduce travel costs, they're more general, but inevitably they will have an impact on the airline industry. If our company was targeting business travellers, then clearly we'd want to consider the impact and our responses to these issues. Other issues might offer opportunities. For example, there are more people flying. People are willing to receive a reduced level of service, and there's more money in developing markets. So that might cause us to approach potential new customers in different markets. Note also that not necessarily are issues which give you an immediate sales opportunity. Some are developmental, and some just require you to understand the key account's own point of view. So the point here is to have a conversation so that we can discuss what's happening in our market, which will impact our business, and then consider what to do about it. The acid test is to ask yourself, so what? And if the answer's nothing, then this is not a relevant issue for us. So your task is to summarize the main issues, trends, likely changes in your market, which could have an impact on your own key account business over the next 12 or 24 months. Before we do that, let's review a worked example.